All right, guys, I'm talking about the Harmonist today. It's a brand that I used to speak about quite a bit a long time ago. And in fact, there was a store in LA, Los Angeles, that I shot a video at their store. I don't think that store is there anymore. But if you're curious about the history of the brand, I've spoken about the brand quite a bit, including a few videos that are standalone and that video shoot at their store in LA. So go catch those videos if you're a fan of the brand and find out about these two fragrances, because I am really, really into these two fragrances. And they launched 1 year apart from one another. And I think they're some of the best from the brand. I'm talking about the two fragrances called Oud Nebula and FLORAE Nebula. In fact, FLORAE Nebula, I've been talking quite a bit about. I really, really love the way it smells. Both of them smell really, really awesome. And both of them are created by Guillaume Flavigny. He's the perfumer for, I believe, all the fragrances from the house. He is a perfumer at Givaudan. In fact, during the pandemic, I did I think it was an Instagram live with him. I don't know where that video is. It's probably on my Instagram account. But I spoke to him about the brand because I've been such a fan of the brand. And I discovered the brand for the first time at Barney's. Sadly, Barney's is no longer around, but that's when the brand first launched, around 2018, I think, or maybe 2017. And I shot the video in their store in 2019. So these two fragrances launched within a year apart from one another, and I've been wanting to do a video on these two fragrances for the longest time. It is time now to do it here in this video because they're so good. And if you haven't discovered these two fragrances yet, you're going to need to check these two out. And even though I mentioned I'm not the biggest fan of oud, this oud is so good, so smooth, so nicely done. You have to get your nose on it. It's one of the best oud fragrances that I've put my nose on in a long time. And sure, we're not breaking any new ground with this Oud Nebula. I've smelled fragrances like this before, but it's done in such a nice way. Super smooth, but loud, smoky, leathery oud with rose. You're gonna wanna stick around to find out about both of these fragrances. So first we'll talk about FLORAE Nebula. FLORAE Nebula is the latest of the two fragrances launched in 2025. This is the Harmonist FLORAE Nebula. Both of the fragrances come in Parfum concentration. They are 50 ml. So it's highly concentrated fragrances, 50 ml for $350. Yes, they are expensive, but truly original smells. With FLORAE Nebula, you have notes of bergamot, bitter orange, pink peppercorn, apricots, Bulgarian rose, datura, amber, vanilla, and musk. So it's a floral fragrance, but it's super, super creamy. The texture of this is so creamy and fruity, floral, and creamy. So there's some spiciness there. There's, like light vanillic ambery touches in the base and a little bit musky, but the texture is so super creamy. It reminds me of a very expensive shampoo that I really, really love somewhere that I've encountered. But I think it's the fact that you have these notes combined together the way they are, and they've thrown in the apricot. That's what's giving it that fruitiness here. That is kind of mixed together to create this really super creamy texture. And you've gone to shower and you've poured the shampoo in your palm and you've got that creamy texture, right? And I get that here. And it's not a bad thing to say it smells like shampoo, because I'm a very curious person. I smell a lot of shampoos when I'm on the road traveling. Sometimes in France, I'm looking for a shampoo while I'm in a hotel. And so I'm smelling things all the time. And this stuff does smell super expensive, but really the texture is super, super creamy. It's amazing. And the fruits, or in this case, the apricots, along with the floral notes, the rose and the datura, is so awesome together. Really, really fantastic. If you haven't smelled this and you like my taste, please do. I highly recommend it. And I said shampoo, that's not negative at all. I think a lot of fragrances do remind me of shampoo. In fact, I'm thinking of doing a video on fragrances that remind me of shampoo. Stay tuned for that very soon. But here, it starts off fresh at the top. You've got a citrusy touch, and it's not tart whatsoever. It's the bergamot and the bitter orange here. When then you start experiencing that creamy texture. The fruitiness comes in of the apricots, and apricots to me are not super fragrant, not like peaches. There's a little bit of a subdued quality. So this does get fruity, but it's not as fruity as other fragrances. Underneath it all also, there's some slight honeyed effect, further enhancing that creamy texture. But, you know, the rose, the datura, the amber, the musk, and the vanilla together, it's really, really elegant, gorgeous, very long-lasting floral fragrance that I think deserves the attention if you haven't discovered it yet. So that's FLORAE NEBULA from the House of the Harmonist, one of my favorite fragrances from this house. In fact, it's been a while that like I said, it's been a while since I've spoken about the brand. There's a few fragrances that I want to highlight after I talk about these two fragrances, just to reacquaintance yourself, get you reacquainted, I should say, with the brand in case you want to discover and you haven't discovered it. But I think if you're new to the brand, you should definitely check out FLORAE NEBULA as one of the first, because it's so darn good the way it's done. One other thing I want to say about FLORAE NEBULA before I move on to Oud Nebula. Again, FLORAE NEBULA came out last year. It's a 2025 release. Oud Nebula is a 2024 release. But going back to FLORAE NEBULA, there's a little bit of a reminder of Trudon's 45 Degrees. So that's another fragrance that I've really head over heels for. If you like this one and you want something a bit more floral, try FLORAE NEBULA. You're gonna not be disappointed. And I mean, this is more vanillic honey, and I'm getting that honeyed effect in this, as I was saying. And there's the vanilla, but this goes way floral. The rose, the datura. Plus, it's a bit more fresh than this because it's got that fruitiness and the citruses. I think if you like the 45 Degrees by Trudon, I highly, highly recommend you try the FLORAE NEBULA because there's a certain reminder. The other thing is both perfumers work at Givaudan. So they are using the same ingredients that they have access to. So I think that's another reason why I'm reminded of one another. But 45 Degrees is more vanilla and honey. I don't think there's any fruitiness in it, but sometimes I do get something fruity, kind of candied in there. But for the real fruit, it's in FLORAE NEBULA with all the floral notes. But a fantastic fragrance. Please check it out. It's really, really awesome. I highly recommend it. Get a sample if you don't want to, splurge for a bottle, because like I said, it is expensive, but it also has great longevity. Both of the fragrances do. And I mean, even the Trudon does, because all three of them are Parfum concentrations. But I highly recommend both of these. But let's go to Oud Nebula next. So Oud Nebula came out before FLORAE NEBULA. And at that time I thought, wow, I'm so bored of oud. This is a really great oud fragrance. Really nicely done the way it's done. But again, it's a Guillaume Flavigny fragrance. He is the perfumer for these two. And once again, it's 50 ml for $350. And Oud Nebula features notes of Bulgarian rose, laurels, saffron, leather, sandalwood, tonka beans, amber, cedar, and oud. It's an easy to wear oud. I don't think it's animalic much, if at all. On me, it's not. To me, it's more leathery animalic than oud animalic, but it's quite smoky. And the leather in this does remind me a little bit of the leather in Cœur de Russie from Chanel, because it's got that like charred smokiness. But once again, it's nicely balanced. It's super smooth for something that comes off smoky leathery to me. The rose is the right amount of rose. It's almost like, I don't want to say the rose is an afterthought. It's there, but it's not fighting with the leather, because to me, even though this is called Oud Nebula, I feel like it's more leather nebula than oud nebula. And leather and rose together, I don't see a lot of fragrances that go leather and rose. It's more oud and rose, but it's working perfectly together. Now, the leather in this, I mentioned, reminds me of the leather in Cœur de Russie, but Cœur de Russie is more vintage smelling. This is not vintage smelling whatsoever. It's just that smokiness that's giving me a hint of Cœur de Russie, because Cœur de Russie to me in the current formulation, it's super charred and smoky, and I get that here. But I feel like also this gives me a bit of a vibe of either Tuscan leather or ombre leather, but more in a smoky, charred direction like that is with the Cœur de Russie fragrance. But nice combo of rose, there's saffron, and I think it's the saffron in this that's giving me the reminder of Tuscan or ombre leather. But in the base, there's amber here, there's a lot of cedar, and I think the oud in this is an accord that they've created. And again, for me, what's prominent or more prominent is the leather, the saffron-y leather, but wonderfully done, very smooth, even though I personally, in the back of my mind, don't consider smoky fragrances to be smooth. this is a very smoky, smooth fragrance, the way it's created. But fantastic offering. If you're tired of rose and oud combo fragrances, maybe check this one out because it's so super smooth. If you don't like smoky, I'm not saying this is smelling like, let's say, Acrose smoke, because that comes off super, just the way the leather has a smokiness about it. And that's kind of what reminds me of the smokiness of the Curda-Russi. It has a bit of a charred vibe is what I'm saying. But just imagine getting Curda-Russi, marrying it with Tuscan leather, and basically just carrying over that smokiness that you would get from that charred quality of Curda-Russi. But mostly it's a Tuscan leather vibe, and fantastic offering. Really, really great. Again, the rose is perfectly situated in this. It doesn't overwhelm. To me, this is not a rose fragrance. It's, like I said, more of a leather fragrance, but the rose is there. It's, you know, beautifully meshing with the leather, the amber, the oud, and the spices together. Super fantastic. Totally different fragrances from one another. The Oud Nebula, again, is more masculine to me. The FLORAE Nebula is more feminine, but both of them are unisex offerings, and it depends on what you're in the mood for or what kind of notes you like. If you're into more leathery, oudy fragrances, go with the Oud Nebula. If you're into more creamy floral, fruity florals, go with FLORAE Nebula. But again, for me, I want to reiterate the fact that I'm reminded of 45 Degrees with FLORAE Nebula. With Oud Nebula, I'm not reminded of anything specifically, but it does remind me of the style of fragrances that I'm kind of familiar with, the oud-rose thing and the oud leather thing. But the fact that we have that reminder of 45 Degrees, you should definitely check out FLORAE Nebula if you haven't yet, and if you are a fan of 45 Degrees. I'm going to pause the video and come back with a few fragrances from the brand to just give you a quick rundown of some of their fragrances, so you'll be reminded, and maybe in the near future I'll do a deep dive video on the brand. If you're interested, let me know. But before I come back, let me know also, have you tried these two fragrances, the FLORAE Nebula and the Oud Nebula? What are your thoughts? And also let me know if you have any other favorites. Do add a comment below. So I would say one of the brand's most popular fragrances is Yin Transformation, this right here. It's a concentrated, super freshy offering, but kind of watery and dewy. It's a floral, but it's an awesome scent. It's clean, it's powdery, it's fresh, it's watery, and of course floral. It smells fantastic, but it's more simplistic, more minimalistic. It's really lovely. It's a lovely scent. So that's Yin Transformation. And two other fragrances that came out after Yin Transformation came out and before Oud Nebula and FLORAE Nebula. I want to highlight Moon Glory, this one right here. And I think it was for the launch of Moon Glory or Sun Force is when I did my, I think, Instagram live with Guillaume Flavigny. It's been a while. I can't remember. But Moon Glory to me is my favorite between Sun Force. I prefer Moon Glory more. And it's a very powdery, honeyed floral fragrance. Very, very powdery. It's sweet. It's tropical floral and a bit ambery resinous in the base as well, but lots of flowers and very, very powdery. It's honey too. It's almost like mixing baby powder with honey and some floral essences together. It's super dense, it's strong, intense, and concentrated. But I wore quite a bit of this when this first came out. But you definitely pick up the honeyed qualities here with Moon Glory. And then let's talk about Sun Force next. Sun Force, I'm not too familiar with. It didn't really click with me that much, so I didn't really dig into it a lot. It's not a bad fragrance, but it smells a bit more mass market to me. I think there's some aromatic notes and spices in this, and that's what I'm remembering. It's not super warm and deep. It's got a bit more freshness. For me, from the old ones, and I'm not going to talk about the white bottles or the black bottles because that's how the brand launched. After the brand launched with the yin and yang, that's the concept of the brand. They have the white and the black. They launched with the Yin Transformation, I should say. That has been one of my favorites. And then, of course, we've got Moon Glory and Sun Force. But for me, I think the two best on the market from the brand now are Oud Nebula and FLORAE Nebula. You've got to check them out if you haven't yet. And then followed by Yin Transformation really great offerings from the house. Let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. Do add a comment below. And thanks so much for watching today's video, guys. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. If you don't mind, please interact with the video, add a comment, like the video, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Click the bell icon so you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. And also add a comment, let me know if there's any specific fragrance you want me to review that I've spoken about in a video here and there and you'd like to see a full review of it. Add a comment so I can find out. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.